Here's the reason for today's show. Evening, everybody. Welcome to the main show of the Gavin Seim Show, or should I say the main topic of the night. AI. Will it destroy us all? Will it save us from corruption? Are we AI? And we're just living in a virtual reality. All this and more tonight on Coast to Coast with Gavin Seim. Let's talk about it. I'm kidding with that stuff. That was just the opening of the show. It's how we open a show, right? You have to have a little flair when you open, welcome. Let's talk about the mysteries of the universe. I want to do this AI topic. The reason I did this is I just finished a video. I was editing this the past couple days. And I just finished a video regarding AI and photo, because I'm a photographer by trade. And so I have another channel called Seim that's my photography channel. And so I did this video because there's been a lot of AI tools coming out in our editing software like Adobe Lightroom and stuff like that. And I think AI is a little bit of a stretch on some of these things. I think AI is the buzzword, and they're calling everything AI. And maybe it's machine learning. They have these words that they throw around, right? But AI is the big buzzword in 2022, and especially coming into 2023, probably in 2024. People are going to start getting sick of it because AI suggests, well, it doesn't suggest, it means artificial intelligence, right? So when we talk about AI, what does that mean? I'm just going to show you the first minute of this video, because this video was talking about editing techniques on my channel. And so I'm not going to show you that whole video, but I'm just going to show you what kind of brought me to this topic. Do you ever have a feeling that this unavoidable thing's crashing towards us as photographers with AI, that we're actually going to be rendered unnecessary? When I go out and shoot and I'm looking for shadow and I'm seeing light and I'm trying to convey emotions, I'm doing a portrait session and I'm trying to make someone feel beautiful on the streets, and I'm trying to capture a slice of life, a piece of people's soul that is timeless. AIs can do a lot of work for us. And this is no more true than the recent videos I've been showing you with the masking AI tools. And yet, to me, these AI tools that they're calling AI aren't actually that intelligent. While it's remarkable that with text input you can get this, the original is actually better. There's something about these AIs that feels less like they're creating and more just like they're taking our creations and remixing them. But let's not fool ourselves. I was there when... Okay, so that is this AI video that I just did. And as we go through this video, you can check it out over on the channel. I'll even post the link, but it's over on my other channel if you follow my photography and tech channel. And so, yeah, you have these things like Dolly. You have these AI text generators where you can input text and you get these images out. And it's fascinating because it's new and it's exciting. It's kind of amazing that you can say, oh, give me the Mona Lisa, but have her riding a horse and drinking a beer, drinking a Budweiser. Right? And it will generate this image that oftentimes is kind of cartoonish and all this stuff. So AI is used for a lot of things. And in photography, as I show in this video over here, the tools are allowing us, for example, I'll even show you guys in real time. Let me pull up a couple of these photos and see. Let me make sure I don't have anything that'll piss anybody off here. That's me picking on police or anything. No, I'm just kidding. Everybody loves it when I pick on police. If I go to a photo here, right? And this is particularly, we can select skies and all this kind of stuff in Lightroom, but it's becoming particularly relevant for portraits because retouching we would have to do in the past. And the intent of this video was actually that you don't need the AI. You can come in here and in Lightroom, you can see that this AI has automatically selected the lips, the eyes, the hair, all these different elements of the photo. And you can see if I turn it off, and I make presets that utilize these in Lightroom. If I turn it off, it's just a normal processed image, right? Let's zoom in. And if I turn it on, I can do all these detailed retouching that would normally and traditionally take a long time. To be clear, this kind of retouching was being done in the 50s, right? We were just, well, I wasn't, but the photographers were airbrushing the negatives and the prints going to the magazines and things like that. It's just gotten a lot easier. Here's this portrait of Sandra. And let me turn off all of these. Now, all these masks and edits, right? I've applied like a film preset from my Filmist presets that I make. And it looks decent, but my light is a little imperfect. It's a little flat. And here's what happens with all these masks into an AI. Now, I defined all the settings, right? The AI didn't say, here's what to do, right? I told it, hey, this is the hair. I want you to take the settings on these hair and, change the color of the hair. What the AI is doing in this particular case is it's making the selection of the hair and every other part of my subject, and it's doing a very detailed job at it here. It's making that selection for me. So I just click and it selects all these and makes a layer that represents all those. And then I can define the settings of those layers, right? Here's another one here. And there's really no practical reason to do this, but I was just demonstrating this. Normally we'd use this to soften the skin on the face and stuff like that, make the hair look better. But I made the lips and the eyes blue just because I could, just to illustrate how strong these selections are. Here's another portrait right here. And you can see we have all these masks and all these selections were made by the AI, right? So here's the normal process of the photo. You have phone apps that are doing this as well. This is just far more advanced and gives you way more control. And here's what the AI is doing in that I'm individually able to work with every element of this. And as a photographer, that's a neat thing. But the concept here, is that our photographers becoming irrelevant. And I think the same could be said for a lot of other industries as these so-called AIs are coming together. This still requires a lot of user input. I actually design and sell presets to make this easier because Lightroom will make all these selections, but it doesn't actually say this is what looks the best. Now, in a year or two, it might. However, for taking photos, yeah, okay, it's great. It's great. But what about in the real world? Where are you guys seeing AI? And what do you think? You're seeing now we have these robots that can walk. We have robot dogs. We have humanoid robots, which were kind of the holy grail for a long time, that can run and jump and get themselves back up. And now you enter AIs into this, and it's very it's very apocalyptic movie kind of stuff, right? Here's what I want to know. And obviously we can use, just like the cell phones, right? And the intelligence of these. 20 years ago, it was unimaginable that we could do what we can with cameras and technology and communications in these. But of course, as we saw the past few years with the sickness, they use that against us, right? Oh, we can communicate instantly on Facebook. We can live stream. And then what happened? Well, it's controlled by 2 or 3 or 4 corporations who are in bed with the government. And in the end, they control all the information anyway, and we're screwed, right? So the government always comes in, just like my Bitcoin video, the idea is like, oh, it's decentralized, except it's not, because the government comes in and centralizes it. And if you don't like it, you go to prison like Ross Ulbricht, like Jeff Winehouse, like Schaefer Cox. If you resist the system, like Leonard Peltier, if you resist the system, they put you down. We don't have other sound going still, do we? Somebody said something about dual sound. There should be nothing running right now. So hopefully we don't have a feedback loop. Anyways, so I'm not sure what you mean, bar fighting. Dual sound. And no, it's not. This isn't PG-13. This is just my day job of working with photos and things like that. So what do you guys think, right? And we say, they're gonna do this. They're gonna use it. Of course, they're gonna use it against us. They use the TV against us. They use the car against us. They use the radio against us. They use the cell phone, the social media. The corrupt are always going to use any technology against us. But we can also use it for good. So it's not but as a photographer, because I watch and I talk about this in this video, I started on film. And when digital came, most of the photographers went out of business. Only the ones that could really excel at their job, because the mediocres, well, anybody could do it, especially when the cell phones got good. Like, you didn't need to hire a mediocre cheap photographer. For the cheap photos, you could just use your photo. So that market transformed. We have these AIs where it can make images. Pretty soon AIs will be able to print on our 3D printers, like the one I have here, right? We'll be able to tell it with a text input, hey, I want this part to look like this. I want it to do this and made up of these materials. And it will just make it. You won't even have to hire a designer. And yet, when you look at these AI tools, they're very much lacking a human element. I think most of the tools that are called AI are not intelligent. I think they're just really big libraries of algorithms, and they don't really seem very intelligent. But I think they are getting there to where, are we getting to the point? Have you seen anything? I know they make robots and it looks like, oh, these are doomsday robots. They talk, they say sinister things to Elon Musk and to Jeff Bezos and stuff like that. But are these just programmed responses? Because we have huge storage. We have really fast access now. We have fast processors. We have good voice synthesis. We have all this technology. But I'm actually still a little skeptical of whether these are, quote, intelligent. And I know that's a hard line to define, and I think they're getting more. I have no doubt they're going to be used against us to control people more and more and more. The people love their entertainment, they love their toys, and the AIs will enter into that control. But as you look at these robots, right? I mean, you have these crazy, like the Boston Dynamics robots, right? Let's actually look. If you look at like these things here, they are getting to the point where they're almost soldiers, right? They're almost ready to be soldiers. I mean, look at these. The mobility, the ability, I mean, yes, it's an algorithm, but the ability to analyze surroundings on this kind of a level, I mean, it's pretty scary, because we're not going to have these. The psycho blue ISIS police are going to have these. I mean, we're talking about dancing and interacting with each other and seeing, and, you know, this is pretty crazy stuff. It's pretty crazy stuff. And so, yeah, are we coming to the end of everything? And is this going to be instrumental in it? Well, you know, the technology is always going to be used against us. I just was kind of thinking, let's talk about this. In my perspective, I think these AIs are going to continue getting better. I think most of what's called an AI, and yeah, we're seeing these, you know, these robots that are getting weapons on them. I mean, this is scary stuff because they risk nothing and we risk everything to try and defend ourselves. And it's just getting worse and worse. So they're going to be used for violence by the government because that's who the government is. It's what they are. They're a cartel of violence all over the world. That's what governments do. They have to maintain their power. And so they have unlimited funds because they steal them from us. And so I think most of the things that, you know, we're supposed to subscribe to, that we see, you know, we're using a software tool and they call it AI. I think most of them are not really AI. They're just algorithms that might work good, right? You know, it's like an AI that, you know, checks your writing, right? It's just an advanced spell checker that has more contextual awareness. Is it an AI? I think that's kind of a stretch. And we're seeing a lot of that. Is this thing that I showed you in Lightroom where it's helping me edit photos, is it really an AI? I don't know. I don't know if I would even call it that intelligent. But it is pretty intelligently selecting, you know, the hair. It's selecting the hair better than I could in a short period of time. To do all the selections that it does in 3 seconds on any image, and I can make a predefined preset, and you just click it, and it applies 10 of these different layers on a photo, separates each individual part, and applies the settings that I've defined in that preset to optimize that photo in Lightroom. You know, this is my day job. Using that technology, I would spend a good hour doing that masking. Now, is it bad that an AI is taking that job from me? Not really, because I don't want to. I actually wouldn't spend an hour doing that on most images. Now I can take those extra level of refinements to improve my images, to improve a photo, And I can apply it to 50 photos at a time and just let the computer do the work, right? I don't even have to manually change the settings because I've predefined those parameters. So it's good, but at the same time, as the photographers, the art world is like, is our creativity, right? The illustrators that illustrate for cartoons and magazines and advertising are thinking, am I relevant? Or are you just going to be able to say something to a computer or type it in and it'll make something better than I can do? But one thing you've noticed on the artistic side of these things, pretty much if you show me an AI generated image at this point, I can tell you it's an AI generated image. It doesn't look like an image that someone created. It looks like a hodgepodge Photoshopped together thing, really done really well, but it still looks artificial. Now that you could say, oh, that's an art form in itself. That's fine. That's another topic. I think these are fascinating. And I think the same thing goes, what about writers, right? Are you going to be able to say, I want a story about this. This is my main plot point. These are the names of my characters, blah, blah. So you fill out a form and it writes you a Stephen King novel? Well, maybe a Stephen King novel, but not a Brandon Sanderson novel, right? Because the nuance isn't going to be there. What I'm getting at is AIs are going to be used to control us, whether they're intelligent or not. Are they going to get out of control? Are these robots going to start arming themselves against us like they do in the movies? You got me. I think what's more realistic than in the movies, it's always like the machines get out of control. And this is kind of my ultimate thought on this. In the movies, the machines get out of control and they annihilate or try to annihilate humanity. In reality, it's our government and their police enforcers that are out of control and that are trying to annihilate free-thinking people. They will use these machines to every extent possible to do that. And I think that's what we got to be aware of. And I think it's good for the upcoming generation to be informed because machines can be thwarted just like human beings can be thwarted, right? And the thing is about technology like this is, yes, the government gets it and uses it against us, but people also get it. Normal folks also get it. We also, they have the internet and the cell phones, but so do we, and they're fairly accessible. So what does that mean? I won't get into too much because they'll demonetize me. This video is probably demonetized already. But I think that these machines will be used against us. I think AI, this year, we're going to see it grow. You might start seeing even some sparks of what we perceive as intelligence. I think at the end of the day, people like to play God, and they're not actually near as good at it as they like to be because these bodies and our minds, as fragile as they are, there's a spark there, right? There's a soul there. And I haven't seen any of these demonstrations on these kind of things. Their ability to have sensory input, to see the surrounding, it makes them dangerous, right? You can look at these right here and see, oh yeah, I mean, these can totally be used against us, right? No question about it. They can dance, they can bounce around, they're agile, strong, you can barely push them over. We're talking about a pretty amazing piece of technology. Appreciate it, man. Bar fighting. And am I an AI? Am I even here? Maybe I'm deep fake, right? What is that? So you see all these videos, right, that do this, like, oh, I've been deep faked, look, it's real. But I haven't seen much of this technology that can actually be convincing for a long period of time, right? You can make a deep fake, but can it interact on an ongoing basis like you and I are right here, contextually, interactively, historically, knowing information and data? And if I am an AI, maybe I'm an AI and that's why I'm so annoying. People don't like me because I'm an AI. But I'm here to tell you. I'm going to tell you straight up so that we don't get a conspiracy. I am not an AI. But then, that's exactly what an AI would tell you, right? How cool is that? So it's like this, there's no escaping the eventuality that the collective unintelligence of people, the less intelligence they make us. And that's what they're doing. They're draining the intelligence from the population. They're putting it into algorithms, machines, and maybe borderline intelligences, however you define that. They're putting it into them and using it against us to continue to make us subservient and less and less and less intelligent. And that's my thought on what's happening with AI and the direction it's going. And we'll see in the next year or two, we're going to see a lot. Because it's the buzzword right now. We'll see how much actually will be made of it. All right, you guys, that's all for our AI topic today. Let me know in the comments what you think. We'll see you on the next one. How do you know you're not artificial, Jacob says. Would you even know? That brings us back to the opening scenes on Coast to Coast with Gavin. Are we all AIs? And we don't even know it. Which is kind of silly, because if I was created, I'm not artificial, which begs the question, if what is artificial? I don't know. Let's not go down the rabbit hole, okay? Let's not go down the rabbit hole, people here. The show is over. Peace. All right, so that's the show. That's the show.